Hey guys, wow, just wow. Okay, well, before we start this very interesting and intriguing and exciting video, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share the vids, and for all of those that have already subscribed and are supporting me, thank you very much, really appreciate it, and please continue to do so. Really grateful, and yeah, I mean, it really does help, so thank you so much to you all. Whew. That fight, Lomachenko versus Lopez, I was so wrong. I think a lot of people are going to be saying that, but I've got to hold my hands up. Hold my hands up. Yeah, I was way off the mark. I just did not think that... I mean, who thought Lopez would win on points? I can see Lopez potentially winning by knockout. I can see beforehand, if he caught Loma with like a flurry of punches or like a big shot, because we know he's got power in that right hand and probably in both hands as well, as we've seen from the fight last night. And Lomachenko, I think we're thinking, you know what, if it goes to points, then Lomachenko, or maybe he might kind of make Lopez retire by tiring him out. I never thought Lomachenko would ever be outpointed in his career since, obviously, that second fight loss that he took as a pro. I just can't believe it. Seriously, I'm just in shock. Even now, I'm in shock. Watch the fight back again and... wow. Okay, let's dissect the fight a little bit, because there's quite a few points I want to get through in terms of like very kind of quick and concise, hopefully, analysis into how the fight went and what I think transpired. A quick note as well, the cards were just ridiculous, weren't they? There is nowhere near as wide as that, as what they gave. All three cards, I think one was 117, 115. Like, that's... okay, I can see that. But the other cards, like 119, 109? What? That's just ridiculous, right? Like, absolutely ridiculous. The scores that they're giving, I mean, that's... yeah. That's not right. After watching it, like, I'm going to go through what I thought, but look, I mean, if you've seen that fight, you know. Look, so, sorry, 116, 112. I mean, even then, I don't think that's right, but... okay, 119, 109. Ridiculous. What? 117, 111. Yeah, that's... yeah. I mean, that's nowhere near what, I'm thinking about after watching that fight the first time and the second time, to be honest. Had the same scores for both. I had 7-5 to Lopez, and look, I mean, I wouldn't have... if it was a draw or 7-5 to Lomachenko, look, I would have said, okay, I can kind of see why. But, yeah, I don't think it would have been a robbery either way. But in terms of the fight, 7-5 to Lopez is what I scored it, and I'll go into that a little bit more in detail later. Right, let's, as I said, dissect the fight a little bit. Sorry, I've gone on a bit of a tangent there. Okay, so early doors, we know that Lomachenko is notoriously quite a slow starter, and it's because we like to talk about Lomachenko as being someone who downloads information, right, about his fighters, and that's how he then kind of comes on very strong in the middle and late rounds. So the reason why he's normally quite slow is what the commentators said, and I think what most people agree on, is that he basically tries to get a gauge of what the opponent's like. He downloads information basically into his like little matrix computer, and yeah, he basically gets an idea of the kind of distance that he needs to have to be effective against a certain fighter. So with Lopez, obviously he's bigger and taller, more rangy, than other lightweights. So he's probably thinking, okay, what's the good distance, mid distance that I can get to? How can I get in and out of the pocket without being caught? So there was like a lot of twitchiness from Lomachenko in the first few rounds, like second, third round, etc. Especially in the first 3 rounds, and he was kind of going in and out. He might pop off a jab, but that was kind of it. He wasn't looking at those combinations or those angular punches. He was really just mainly looking to see, okay, what's Lopez's plan and how can I counteract it. And I think some of the best fighters, they do that, to be fair, in the first round or two, even 3 sometimes. But this time he just, okay, yeah, he was going in and out of the pocket, and then he might throw a jab, etc. But this fight, it took him a lot longer, and it can be for a couple of reasons. Maybe no crowd, but I don't think that's an excuse, and I don't think that's the reason why. I just think Lopez was really good, especially in the first 6 rounds. And to be honest with you, it's so hard to give Lomachenko a round in the first 6 rounds. I know, say, Andre Ward gave him a round in that first 6. I mean, even then, I think maybe it's a touch and go round. I think round 2 he gave, but on the whole, Lopez was dominant in the first half of the fight. I think everyone can agree on that. And something that I thought was really good from Lopez is when Lomachenko did occasionally try to throw his angular punches, and he has the classic Lomachenko move where he kind of slides to the left, and he'll try and get off that left hand, which obviously is his kind of power punch hand because he leads his right hand as a southpaw, and he kind of moves round to his left side and then tries to pop off a combination or angular punch on that left hand. And that's what like Lomachenko's become so, like, that's what he's become, not famous, but that's what makes him who he is as a fighter. Like all those YouTube videos you see of him moving around fighters and then throwing punches at angles, that's what makes him unique as a fighter. And Timothy Bradley said, well, I think it was in like round 7, that that's what Lopez had taken away from Lomachenko. And he said something which I don't particularly agree on, but what he said is that if you take that away from Lomachenko, he looks an ordinary fighter. Now, I can see where he's coming from. I don't think he's an ordinary fighter even without that, but that is definitely a big part and big advantage, that big part of his game and big advantages that Lomachenko has. And I think it just really nullified Lomachenko, especially in the first 6. He basically, and the way he nullified it was that when Lomachenko went to move around to his left and try and throw it, Lopez would throw a body shot, would dig him to the body to basically tell him, look, back off because you're not getting in here, or he would throw that right uppercut, which he then started employing kind of, I think it was like the 4th, 5th round onwards, and he started throwing that more because he became more comfortable. But he used his body shots really effectively in the first 6, and it kind of warded Lomachenko off coming in. But something that I think as Timothy Bradley and Andre Ward both said is that the only way that Lomachenko can be effective by throwing those combination punches and angular punches is because obviously he doesn't have the reach advantage that Lopez had. He needs to get inside to a distance where he's not on the end of Lopez's punches, but he was throwing punches that, look, only Lopez can throw kind of short, like very short kind of hooks or body shots, etc. But Lomachenko is more effective where he can throw a flurry of punches. And Lomachenko towards the back end of the fight did start to do that. And look, I mean, in the first 6, Lomachenko didn't throw many combinations. And as I said, he was feeling it, and it took him a long time to feel his way into the fight. Once he did, though, from round 7 onwards, it became more like a firefight. And Lomachenko finally got comfortable, I think, with the idea of what Lopez was trying to do, and also got more comfortable with the distance. And I think he started to understand, look, I can't just sit here and get picked off, because that's kind of what was happening in the first 6 rounds. That's what was happening. He was getting picked off, right? So yeah, I mean, it was incredible to see, right? Because I've never seen someone, even when Lomachenko is being a slow starter, I've never seen someone pick him off like that in the first 6 rounds. And normally Lomachenko is very good with his head movement, and you know, he covers up well. But because, and Timothy Bradley made this point, which is quite a technical point, that Lomachenko keeps his hands quite high, and basically Teofimo Lopez really took advantage of that and said, "Look, I'm going to dig you to the body," and he did that for the first 6 rounds and also throughout most of the fight as well. And as I said, that really put Lomachenko off coming in, especially in the opening few rounds, to try and try his luck to see, okay, is this going to work? And so he was a bit more cautious. One thing I would say though is that given the pre-fight build-up where Lomachenko was obviously squaring up to Lopez, etc., I was thinking, okay, look, we're just going to see. He might have 2 or 3 feed-out rounds, but it's not going to be 6, or he's not going to kind of be on the back foot for that long. But he was, and I think it's a mixture, as I said, of Lopez being very effective in the first 6 rounds and having a really good game plan to stop him from throwing those flurry punches and angular punches that he is so accustomed to doing. Yeah, so for me, I think it was just disappointing not to see Lomachenko start a bit. I was expecting him to maybe not start a bit quicker, but just be like how he normally is, and I think be a bit more proactive, because really, I mean, if he'd started earlier, could he have won the fight? Probably. I mean, it depends. Maybe Lopez would have gone for it more, but it's difficult. Okay, let's look then to the second half of the fight, where Lomachenko, as I said, really came into his own. He started to throw more flurry of punches. He, I think, saw the openings more. Lopez did become a little bit sloppy, and I think he was maybe, I don't know whether he was maybe looking to knock Lomachenko out, but I think he was a lot more open. Lomachenko then started utilising his body shots really well, and dug Teofimo Lopez to the body well, and then kind of went upstairs and started showing his trademark kind of Lomachenko quick hands, flurry of punches, and he caught Lopez, with some heavy shots, especially between rounds 8 to 11. Like, he came on particularly strong, Lomachenko. I think round 7 I did give to Lomachenko, and I think you probably can give it to him as well. I don't agree with Andre Ward giving him round 2, but I think 7 to 11 I can get on board with giving to Lomachenko, and he kind of just stepped up the gears. And I don't think it was necessarily a case of Lopez was just being sloppy, and he got to a point where he was like he was being less technical and less disciplined. I think, yes, there was a certain degree of that. But I think what it was is that he was probably fighting just as well as he was in the first 6 rounds for the most part. It's just Lomachenko just went up in the gears, and Lopez just wasn't able to keep up with him from round 7 to 11, and he, I think, was fighting out of his skin, and that's just how it is. Like, Lomachenko then went up the gears and was dominant for rounds 7 to 11, and I think Lopez did have some success. He still had success to the body. He still had success occasionally backing up Lopez into the ropes, and he was still, saying, "Look, I'm here. This is not going to be an easy fight for you. You're going to have to really, really work for this if you want it." I think Lomachenko maybe realised that, look, even if he had come on strong in round 7 to 11, he needed to potentially knock out Lopez, just because, look, I mean, I think he would have known he wouldn't have been up on the cards, and even if he had won rounds 7 to 12, it would have been a draw. So I think he needed to go for it, and I think you could see that in round 11 especially, where he was going for it, and he caught Lopez with some really heavy shots. And then round 12, so before I go on to round 12, quickly talking about round 7 to 11, the commentators made a really good point that Lopez was not just tired physically, but he was tired almost physically and almost mentally from the twitching and the feints and the tension that Lomachenko has. That as an opponent, when you face him, you have to be constantly thinking every second of every round, like, what's he doing? Okay, he's moving this way, because he's always moving. And I think that's what he was doing in that first 6 rounds. It was almost, he was being offensive without throwing punches. And I think I've mentioned this before, that it's to do with his footwork and his feints and the way he moves. And yes, that's all well and good, but unfortunately, I think, as we've seen with the cards, and even when I score it, like, that's great, but you've got to throw punches to win rounds. And I think, unfortunately, he did that in the first 6. Then, obviously, round 7 to 11, though, Lopez was getting more tired, and I think you could see that Lomachenko did come on very strong. But the one thing I would say is that in round 12, I mean, Lopez got a second wind. He got a second win. I think, I don't think he was worried. I think, well, in the corner, his dad said to him, "Look, you're winning this fight, so no need to worry. Basically, like you're winning this quite comfortably." But Lopez came out almost as if, you know what, this is a bit close, so I think I need to come out. And I think if the cards had been what I thought they should have been, he had a right to think that, because for me, it was 6-5 to Lopez going into the 12th round. And he went into that 12th round, and I mean, he went for it. I mean, he caught Lomachenko with some big shots. He definitely hurt him in that 12th round, and it was a really, really good round for Lopez. I mean, so they stopped it with 10 seconds left because there's like an accidental head clash, and so there's a big like cut above Lopez's eye. They probably could have just carried on. There's only 10 seconds left, but they cleaned it up, and then after that, Lomachenko started swinging because I think he realised, look, he was losing the round. So yeah, he may as well try and go for the knockout. But Lopez, I mean, yeah, that 12th round, he did really, really well. And I think, in my mind, that's what then obviously I thought, look, he's on that round, 7-5 to Lopez. And look, it's definitely the scorecards are just, I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, some reporters were saying, and like people who obviously are in the know were just saying, look, this is just a joke. Like, how can you give it as... how can you do it as 116, 112, 119, 109, 117, 111? Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to go down this route because I feel like it's being very skeptical, but sometimes you just think, like, are scorecards just... are people just buying off people for scorecards? Because, yeah, I mean, it's not right, is it? Like, those scorecards are not right, and you just think, like, well, I don't know, I mean, it's difficult, right, because you would have thought, I think Lomachenko is Bob Arum's star fighter, that, as in out of the two, I think, he was the golden boy, and I don't think Top Rank. You just have to hope and wish that Top Rank are not going to dabble and like pay off people. And look, I mean, I'm not going to insinuate that because I hope that doesn't happen in the world of boxing. I know that it has happened in the past, but you're just hoping it doesn't happen. And it's just those types of cards, though. It just makes you think like, what's going on? But yeah, I mean, either way, I'm not Lopez winning. I don't have an issue with. I think it's just the scorecards, but Teofimo Lopez, a superstar now, absolute superstar, undisputed lightweight champion, and I think Devin Haney called him out and said, "Oh God," he said, "Oh God," he goes, "Lopez versus Haney, 2021. Let's do it, all the belts." Oh, okay. Well, I don't think Teofimo Lopez is particularly bothered about potentially fighting Devin Haney. I think his dad said that he should move up to 140 because he's struggling to make 135, and he is big for the weight. I think he will ultimately end up. He'll be at 140, probably 147 as well, and who knows how far he'll go. But this kid is, yeah, he is quality. But you know the funny thing is that actually Teofimo Lopez did call out Devin Haney. So, fair enough. Sorry, I misread that. So he actually called out Devin Haney first, and Devin Haney's like, "Okay, let's do it." So that's good. I mean, it's good in a way that Teofimo's won. The reason why I say that is because hopefully now we're going to get those fights between Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, all these people who are similar age. Just fight each other. If you lose, who gives a crap? Who gives a damn? Lomachenko lost in the second fight, but it didn't matter. He was seen as a pound for pound, like top 3 at least, until this fight. yeah. I mean, what next for Lomachenko? I think, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video now because I just think maybe that's something to reflect on and think about because I'm just still shocked. All I'm gonna say is Teofimo Lopez, what a win, what a win, and you just have to give props and respect to him and the team. As I said before, it's just incredible. It is one of those. It's one of those upsets that you just think to yourself like, how's that happy? It's like someone. Okay, this is it's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's like someone outboxing Mayweather and beating him over 12 rounds. I know, okay, look, Lomachenko has lost once in the pros, but it's his second fight, and look, and yes, Lomachenko, I think, especially after yesterday, you can't say he is at the level of Mayweather considering what Mayweather's done. But I'm just saying, as a master boxer, Lomachenko was up there, right? I mean, does anyone honestly think that from 135 and down that he could have lost on points? No one's telling. Whoever tells me that actually, yeah, I thought that he could lose on points. No, you didn't. No one thought that before this fight. No one. I'm sorry, no one would have thought that. Everyone would have thought, okay, if Teofimo Lopez is going to win, he's going to knock him out. And it's just, or at least, okay, if he won on points, it would be something like he'd floored him 2 or 3 times. And that's why. But even then, I'm thinking, would he still win on points? But he did it. I mean, he is not just a banger. He can clearly box very well. He's very athletic. He's a lot quicker, I think, than people give him credit for. Quick. He's got quick enough feet. I mean, he did something really well actually. Sorry, I want to point out before we end is that sometimes when Lomachenko moved around, he'd move around with Lomachenko, which meant as well that when you're talking about angular punches, the problem is that when Lomachenko moves around, fighters are still because they can't read it well enough. As soon as Lomachenko would twitch and start moving there, Lopez would do the same thing. And what it meant is that also nullified it. So I wanted to point that out because that was really, really good. I mean, it's just such a good defensive work from Lopez. And yeah, I mean, this kid is 23 years old. Wow. I mean, the lightweight, division is just great. I mean, Lomachenko thought he won it, which I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, right? Because what? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think there's going to be a rematch. There's no rematch clause, so they're not going to fight each other next, especially. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Lomachenko goes down. But yeah, what I mean, as I said, I'm just in shock still. It's just one of those things that, like, you watch it, and I have that same thing when I watched the Anthony Joshua Andy Ruiz fight, like the AJ Andy Ruiz fight. I just watched it, and I watched it, and I couldn't believe it, and I was like, what, what, what? And then I just couldn't sleep, like, and not because I was like, oh my god, like, yes, I mean, I am a fan of AJ, but it's just one of those things that you just sit up thinking, what the hell has just happened? And yeah, it's kind of a similar thing with this. Anyway, what a fight, and boxing, anything can happen, clearly. What a fight. Incredible, incredible result, and big up Teofimo Lopez. Well done. Respect, and hopefully we see Lomachenko back. And yeah, interested to see what he does here now. Okay, well, thanks for watching, guys, and please make sure you subscribe, as I said, like, comment, share the vids, and again, really appreciate the support. Stay safe and stay well, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.